Hello everybody, my name is Chris Gibbons. I'm your instructor for our current topics in healthcare administration, and we're focusing on obviously healthcare, the aspects of evidence-based management as it kind of applies to healthcare. So let's talk a little bit about this new space here. So what you're going to notice when you first land into the course, the landing page really hasn't changed, but I'm adding this kind of news and update section for kind of a weekly video blog. Make sure you watch these videos before you jump into the module and submit your assignments or do your work, because if we change anything with the course, if I make some updates or clarify some things that don't make sense sometimes, I'm going to do that in these videos. So it's always to your advantage to watch the videos to make your life easier and hopefully have the course run smoother here in the final 2/3 of it. All right, so we're a little bit about this space here. So far, in the first 2 weeks, all the grading has been updated. There were a couple students I forgot to hit submit on from last week. I do apologize for that. I noticed that when I was looking at the grade book. So everything should be updated. Go in, take a look at your grades. Now, here are some general impressions on the assignments that we've had. So we've had a evidence-based management forum. That's our threaded discussion that we're going to have periodically through the class. And then we have these one-pagers. So with the discussion assignment, most of you got full points on that. However, if you did get a couple of points off, it is always related to, or I should say not always, but almost always related to not providing the 2 peer responses. So make sure that you add those 2 peer responses. Let me go ahead and minimize my picture here as we jump into that module, and we'll take a look at some other things. But the other assignment, the one-pagers. So with that, again, doing a great job. Everybody did, generally really well on the one-pagers. However, there's a couple things. If you did get some points off, it is generally in this area, and that's just really lack of content. You pretty much want to have a full page on these one-pagers and have everything stay on one page. What I noticed, some of you had these really long headers on there, so that kind of squeezes down the page. But with the name of the class, my name, your name, the date, it's probably wiping out. That's 1/3 of the page pretty much gone at that point with double-space typing or double-space setting on there. So you don't need that. You're not, we know who submitted the assignment. It's all digitally linked. So you don't have to put that student information on the top there. And that allows you to have that full page. So where you are getting points off, the first thing I look at, just visually, is there stuff filling the full page? And then if it's, 2/3 of a page, now that's going to draw my attention to, oh, okay, what are they missing? What did they not really flesh out in detail? So, takeaway point. Don't put that stuff on the top. You could put, the name of the particular step on there. That's perfectly fine. But, all of that extra filler, you don't need that. And just make sure you're kind of filling most of that page up with content, which shouldn't be that hard. You can, go through the chapter. You can find a lot of information. You could definitely flesh out a full page on each one of these steps, tools, and, other things that we're going to be doing these one-pagers on. The goal of the one-pager is to have a resource for you in the future that you could go to. We'll have, I think we'll have maybe 14 pages or so that you could just print them out, staple them together, or have a little file on your phone with all of this information on there that guides you through the whole process of evidence-based management. That works for you, that helps you remember, that you feel are aspects that are important to you. So it's a custom-made tool for you and evidence-based management. So that's the goal here. So definitely make it work for however you want it to work. And then with that being said, you guys have fallen in pretty much into 2 camps, which is, kind of typical. We have folks who do kind of paragraphs, which are fine. If that works for you, great. And we have some of you that are doing checklists. I kind of like checklists, but that's me. That's not what works for me is checklists. And then the other one are bullet points. Those are also very good. But again, what works for you? Imagine 6 months from now, you've forgotten everything, because everybody does. You forget everything, but you remember, oh yeah, there was this class, a way to approaching problems in an administrative business environment using evidence. Oh yeah, I got that thing we made. And then you can go back to that and hopefully use it. We've had students, we've been doing this this is like the 3rd year now. So we've had students who have used this, provided feedback to us on how they used it to improve their departments and organizations. So it's kind of, and I think some of you, from what I'm reading in your one-pagers, you're kind of seeing this. So that is the purpose of that. Make it your tool, make it your own. If you like paragraphs, you like checklists, you like bullet points, totally up to you on how you do that. All right, so that's how that's going. Takeaway there, make sure that you have a full page. Anything less than that, you're probably not fleshing it out sufficient enough to get the full points for the assignment and then also to help yourself down the road. All right, so we've got, we talked about the evidence-based management forums, the one-pagers. You can kind of see the flow of the course. That's pretty much the cornerstone of the assignments going throughout the course. The other thing I've been asked is, can you work ahead? So a couple of you reached out to me through email, and yes, absolutely, you can work ahead in the course if you like. However, remember when we have those forum discussions that you are replying back to those 2 students. That's how you get points off if you're not completing the assignment and doing those 2 peer responses. So make sure you go back. If you are working ahead, go back and provide those 2 peer responses, for those, for everybody else. So, working ahead. And then lastly, how to get a hold of me. So obviously there's old-fashioned email. Some of you have reached out to me already on that. Probably the best way to get a hold of me is just old-fashioned text message. So just reach out to me. I have my text number. I'll put it right up there. If you have like a short order question, you can usually get an answer within minutes. If you go email, it's going to be a little bit longer. So again, but if you got a short form question, please feel free to do that. However, all I ask is that you make sure you identify who you are and what class you're in, because I'm teaching another class right now. So that just saves a go back and forth as I figure out what you're asking in the frame of reference of which particular course. All right, so that's pretty much for it for this week. Don't forget, if you see a new video showing up here, make sure you watch it. There could be a very important course updates that we talk about that can make your life easier as we kind of finish up the last 2/3 of the course. All right, that's pretty much it for this week. Everybody have a fantastic week, and I'll check in with you next Monday. Thanks.